The third Rebbe of Chabad was the leader of the Chabad movement. He was well known through all of Russia, but he was a leader in the time of the Tsar. The Russian army was always making wars and things like that, and they were always losing. Nevertheless, there was one soldier, a Jewish soldier, that he had enough of it, and he went AWOL. He ran away. He ran away, and he started to get scared. He said, listen, if they catch me, they're going to kill me. What should I do? He didn't know what to do. So he went to the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedik. His name was Menachem Mendel. It was the third Rebbe of Chabad. It's about 200 years ago. And he said, Rebbe, give me a blessing. I shouldn't get caught. And the Rebbe said, no. You have to go back. Go back immediately. He said, no, if I go back, the commander is really a very cruel person. And he said some anti-Semitic things. And I'm going to get punished. I'll get beaten. I might get killed. He said, no. You have to go back immediately. And it'll be okay. Don't worry about it. But when you go back, ask the commander for a leave for Passover. Tell him you want to go on Passover for a leave. And when you go to the nearest town and have Passover by a family. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to have you. But don't sleep in the house. Don't sleep in the house where the family is. Go and sleep in the synagogue. In the synagogue, either in the synagogue itself, or there's also usually next to the synagogue, they had like a hostel, something, whatever it's called, that people could go, like a place where people could sleep. That's the way it used to be so go there. And then afterwards, go back to your camp. And when it comes to the last day of Passover, Shvishal Passover, ask the commander again for a leave and do the same thing. Be by a family, but don't sleep in his house. No matter how much he asks you, sleep in the Hachnasat Orchim, in the place where all the guest house next to the synagogue. So he said, okay, but I'm afraid. He said, don't be afraid. Don't worry about it. And sure enough, that's what it was. He went back to the camp. And Tzemach Tzedik says, if he asks you why you went away, tell him you went to visit family. So he figured, okay, instead of being on the run his whole life, maybe it'll work. So he goes back to the camp, and the commander says, where have you been? He said, listen, I went away. You went away? He says, you had to see family. He says, okay, you're a good soldier to see family. I gave him a hit on the shoulder. Okay, good. But next time, talk it over. Don't just leave on your own. He says, okay, I promise. Sure enough, when Passover came close, he went to the same commander and he said, I would like, please, a 2-day leave. It's a Jewish holiday. I'm a Jew, and I want to go to. And the commander let him go, which was pretty amazing because one of the big goals of taking Jews into the army was to get them to change their religion, get them to be Russian Orthodox. Anyway, he said, okay. So he was amazed. So he went to the nearest town the day, right on the afternoon, right before Passover. And he found the Jewish house and he asked if he could stay there. They said, of course you can. You can sleep here, this. And he stayed the whole night. He was tremendously tired, but he made it through the whole Seder night. And he was drowsing off. And the owner said, here, I have a room for you, a nice warm room. He said, no, I can't. I can't. I promise. I have a reason. Anyway, he left. And he went to the synagogue. And he put a couple chairs together to sleep. And there was someone there walking back and forth. And the man came over to him and he said, soldier, are you Jewish? Yes. He said, oh, I have such troubles. He just really wanted to go to sleep. But this fellow wanted to say his problems, so he couldn't say no. So he said, okay, tell me, I'm really tired. I would like to go to sleep, but tell what? He says, you won't believe it. What happened to me? Oh, yeah. He said, my wife passed away last year, and I was so miserable, so terrible. And I met a nice Jewish girl, a young girl, and she really liked me, and I really liked her. And I said, let's get married. So we got married. We got married, and he was like, in his late 50s, whatever. She was in her 20s. And one night I went away somewhere, and, for a business trip. I came back, and she ran away with, they told me, with the gypsies. She ran away. She took everything I've got, all my money, everything I have, and she took it all, and she ran away. And she left me alone. And now I have nothing. I've got absolutely nothing. She took all my money. She took everything I've got. My house is bare. I have nothing. I guess she sold the furniture. He stole it for sold. Anyway, that's it. And nobody knows where she is. I've reported it to the police, and they don't know what to do. And her name is Zelda, and she ran away with the servant, who was a gypsy, whatever, and his name is Ralph, or something. They ran away. And I don't know what to do. And this is already, months ago. I'm just beside myself. I don't know what to be. And now maybe he was even homeless, I think. For some reason, he was even homeless somehow or other. They took us home. They burned his house down, whatever it is. So the man says, that's terrible. I feel so bad for you. And he goes to sleep. And sure enough, the next night, he goes to the family again, and he's Passover, and he comes back to the synagogue, and there's the guy again. And he says, her name is Zelda. What did I say before? Zelda, and his name is Ralph. And then, okay, so it's a terrible story. What can he do? So he goes back to his company. The soldier goes back to his company, and he remembers what the Tzemach Tzedik says, and he goes to his commander again, and he asks for another leave for 2 days, for the last 2 days of Passover, and he gives it to him. But this time, the camp is in a different place. The camp, meanwhile, moved, and it went to a totally different place in Russia, wherever they camped out. They let him go. So he went to this other, place, and he asked the people if he could stay by them for the last nights of Passover, and they said yes. And he stayed there. But again, the Tzemach Tzedik told him not to sleep in their house. They offered it, and he went again to the guest house, the synagogue near the guest house. And there he went to sleep. Now he can sleep calm. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, he hears this laughing and, cursing and yelling and screaming. And he wakes up, he opens up his eyes, and he sees that there's these gypsies that came in, and they have women with them, and they're in the synagogue, and they're laughing, and they're joking around, they're drinking, and they're swearing, they're cursing. But he hears from the thit that one of them says, Zelda, do this, and she says, Ralph, do this. And so he sort of he looks through one of the cracks between the chairs, and he sees she's a young guy. And it's like the description sort of what this man told him. Immediately he runs to the rabbi, wakes the rabbi up, and tells him the whole story. He sees a soldier, a Jewish guy. They run to the police. Police see a soldier, from the army with the rabbi, and they see these guys. The police immediately go and they arrest them all. And they put him in jail, and they get all the money back, almost all the money back. And he goes back to the first town where it was, or the police go, whatever, and they give the money back to the poor, the man where it was stolen from. So we see that the Tzemach Tzedik somehow or other knew this whole entire business was going to happen. First of all, that the commander wouldn't get mad, and that the commander would allow him to go for Passover, and that the poor unfortunate fellow that got stolen would be in the synagogue. He would be homeless in the synagogue. And that in the second place, that the gypsies would be there. However it was, the whole thing got arranged properly so that the truth would be revealed. And that's the whole idea of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to deal with details. Every single person in the world will benefit individually from Mashiach. And if you think about it, even the thieves, they benefited also, that they stopped being thieves and they stopped doing bad things, and that they were brought to face their own evil. So that's what's going to be, God willing, coming Mashiach. And that's what Tzemach Tzedik, the third Rebbe of Chabad, Mashiach is also going to be called Tzemach Tzedik. And Menachem Mendel, that's also the name of our Rebbe, who's the Mashiach, will save us all from all of the dishonesty and injustice in the world. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, see you all tomorrow at 8:15.